The Fundamental Magics. Chapter 3. The Vitritects. It was a cool, unforgiving morning when Phisano left Verdentia. The towering structures of green glass, usually amplifying the sun's rays and casting nature's light over the town, stood oppressive and daunting. But none was more daunting than the anxieties brewing within his own mind. Was he making a mistake? Would the rest of his kind, the other Vitritects, be open to his ideas? He wasn't sure. But if he didn't try, then all of it would be for nothing. He didn't design and build the Emerald Sage by not trying, nor the sea and moss buildings. He was a trier and an artisan. This project, though, was different. He couldn't do it on his own, or even without leaving Verdentia. So it was that he threw his pack onto the thistle he had recently brought for this journey, and threw his muscular, hairy body atop it, bracing himself against its feathered head as it stretched its long, powerful legs. And with that, it tore off with speed beyond its reckoning, and he was fast on his way to the first stop of his pilgrimage. Scarlaland. Phisano's cowl flew in the wind, and the wind buffeted his otherwise uncovered body. The desert landscape may oppress others, but to the Vitritects, it was home. Each settlement of their people saw influence in their architecture and general way of being from the common compounds in that patch of sand. In Scarlaland, lithium was the dominant element. In Verdentia, it was copper. The lack of trees or cover might be a negative of his land, but once again it was befitting the Vitritects, as sunlight fueled their magic, and without it, they were apes and no more. The abundance of sand, the extrothermic effects of fusion, and the need for sunlight influenced their history here greatly. Hence, most settlements' sole use of glass in their construction, save for some outliers in the far north and west. In this way, even when a rare cloud crossed over the sun, one might still bask in its rays, refracted from some building or other, given the Vitritects' near constant access to their magic. In some ways, Phisano pondered to himself, this was his goal, though it was only one aspect. Slowly, as he progressed atop his rapid steed, he noticed the sand of the vast desert beneath cast away the familiar green pigmentation of his hometown, as yellow seeped in from the west, blue from the north, and a deep crimson lashed its way from the south. Phisano looked back, to take in the sights of his home one last time. He didn't know when he'd return. The glass peaks of the skyline fell one by one beyond the now red horizon, until one building, the Salamis, was its last enemy, before it too, of course, succumbed, and the entire world became red, enveloping him in its crimson cocoon. All was quiet for a time, as the red vastness drove past him, on his way to the only place of life amidst the crimson sand. But suddenly, from nowhere, a soft squelching came in the tempo of footsteps somewhere to Phisano's right. They crept ever closer, and seemed to find rhythm with his steed's dainty steps. It stopped, as Phisano urged the thistle to a halt. He scanned the surrounding sand. A tall dune lumbered on his left, Clifford's hillock, if memory served, and there was naught but sand as far as seen on his right. Nothing showed the source of the strange sound, neither creature nor otherwise. He cast his gaze again over the landscape and confirmed his initial results. Sand, more sand, and a solitary rock, slightly lighter than the rest of his surroundings, were the only sights to be seen. Knowing now that there was no malice behind him, Phisano urged forward, faster than before. Everything was silent for a time, save for the sound of his steed's claws digging the sand beneath them as they progressed. It came again, closer this time, and as it drew near, the sound of laboured breathing joined the unsettling score. This time, Phisano dared not stop, realizing that his previous scan had been folly. Whatever it was, he would not detect it. Straight dash to Scarlet was his only shot now. And, quite luckily, he could see her walls approaching at a great speed in front of him. He urged his Thistle on faster, and faster. But still, the footsteps kept time, following along behind him. He dared not look back, not this time, not until he was there. 500 feet. 400 feet. Still, the footsteps kept time. 300 feet. 200. At last, he skid to a stop in front of the great walls and glanced straight behind him. Just for a moment, he thought he saw a blur of crimson move in alien ways among the dunes. But whatever had been behind him, it was gone. Sucking in a nervous breath, he collected himself and pressed on.